Yo team, what is going on? I am currently at Edinburgh Airport because I am away to go on holiday. So I'll see you later. So as you can probably guess, I'm not actually on holiday. I am down in London because my client Chloe is competing at Two Bros tomorrow. So down to see her, she's looking absolutely unreal. So I've just got off the train, I'm just waiting to meet her, go have a look at her, see how she's looking, and then we're just going to go from there. It's absolutely roasting down here, so maybe I'll go for a bit of a sunbathe. Not going to get to see the sights or anything because obviously busy, got other stuff to do, but yeah, pretty easy trip down as well, 45-minute flight. And surprisingly not as busy as it normally would be because obviously there's no tourists, which is fucking good because who wants to see annoying people? Anyway, I'll throw up some stuff later on when she is checking in, and then you'll see what it looks like to be stage lean. Now we're back on home soil, back in Scotland, which the only annoying thing is, it was like 26 degrees down in London, and now it's like a little bit overcast, but what can you do? I was going to record this with me just sitting down at the table and go through sort of how we set up Chloe to compete, everything like that, but to be honest, I don't think it's really needed. Obviously, a good result, taking third place at a big show, but not the result that me and Chloe wanted. And people kind of have asked me about this a little bit, like, oh, but isn't she, or aren't you too happy with third? Like, don't get me wrong, placing in a show is a very hard thing, but for someone of Chloe's potential, who's won shows before, we personally are going for first. That's why we are competing. It's why she's dieted so hard. The photos, I'll put a photo or a video up now of how she looked backstage with a tan on, because obviously I've put a video up of how she looked the day before on check-in. Now, what you've got to remember is this, with bodybuilding, it's not as simple as like X, Y, and Z. There's moving parts. So the judges, although they've got specific things they're looking for in each class, they're also humans, so depending on what their gut feeling is, how they feel towards a competitor, etc., can also skew the decision. As a team, myself, Vaughn, Clara, we've looked through the stage shots. We personally think Chloe should have placed higher, but there's no point in moaning about it. It's not something it's not going to change anything. It's not as if they're going to email me tomorrow and say that. So a little bit disappointing, but I will also say, and I'll hold my hands up, the level of condition I brought for Chloe, so condition, the level of leanness, was insane. Like you could almost see striations on her glutes, but that's not needed for the bikini. And that probably is one of the reasons we didn't place higher, which I'll hold my hands up for. It's me who makes the decisions. But now we've got the feedback. The judges' feedback will come in the next couple of days, but to be honest, it's normally a very vague, I wouldn't say a copy and paste job, but the judges have to remember so many athletes that if they've not took notes for it, it can be hard, and even though they can watch the video back, I doubt they've got time for that. So we'll get the feedback. The aim is now just to push weight up a little bit. So we were sitting around 51.9 the morning of show. We'll push up to around 53, roughly go for the look we had 3 weeks ago, so a little bit fuller, and obviously our physique's so good, our body's so good that with a little bit more fullness we should be bang on for the next show. What's cool about the next show as well is the team have a lot of people down there, so Vaughan's competing, Bradley's competing, Chris is competing, Torgy's competing, and Caroline's competing. So that's a pretty big Team V meeting, which I'm sure everyone's going to do great because everyone's looking fantastic. Also funny because Vaughan's competing against Bradley, I think. So we'll see how that is. But yeah, we're pushing Chloe at that show, and then we're going to do PCA a little bit later on. What's really good about the PCA show is, and again I'll put it on the screen here, Two Bros back pose, personally, I don't really like. There's not, you don't show off loads apart from your glutes, whereas the PCA back pose, you flare your lats, and Chloe obviously has very good lats. So all round all good. One of the things I think that, although we were both disappointed post show, I think just sitting down with Chloe and just knowing her so well, in this game, there is never a failure in bringing the best version of yourself, and we both know how good she looked. We'll just know for the next show to change it up. So now the dust settled, everyone knows what I'm like. I'm quite a reactive, fiery person, but I think getting feedback from some very, very top coaches in the industry, it was all roughly the same thing, so now we'll know for that. So anyway, you will see a new version of Chloe in 3 weeks. Not a new version, but you know what I mean, a little bit of a fuller version, and we'll see how that goes. Because anyway, at the end of the day, you can only turn up, you can only bring the best version of yourself. Sometimes there's a freak turns up, and sometimes what you bring isn't quite what they're looking for. And for anyone that's not into bodybuilding, what I mean by that was, a lot of the girls who won were a little bit softer. They just didn't look like they dieted as hard. Now, it's not a look I personally like on stage, but it depends on the judges, how they're feeling, how the girls are looking for the most part. So, as what is. Anyway, on to the next one. Suppose I'll throw in a little update about me, because you know, it is my vlog, although you've been hearing them loads. By the way, also, if anyone's got any other shit that you want me to speak about, or like topics, set things, let me know, because coming up with content, one, I'm not a vlogger, I'm a coach, and coming up with content week on week when I don't really do anything that exciting, it's quite hard. So just let me know, because that way I can actually go into a little bit more technical stuff, whereas I'm not just going to throw that out there at the start, because if I don't know if anyone wants to hear about it. But a little bit of update about how I'm getting on. I am now 3 weeks into a recomp, maybe a little bit less than that, maybe like 17 days. I'm down 5 kilos. Now, before anyone gets super excited, a lot of that was just water. It's only been the last like couple of days where I've seen a little bit more visuals coming through, like a little bit tighter through the midsection and quads, which are always the areas that tighten up first for me. But we're just going to run this sort of till the point where health markers are in place. We're not really worried too much about body composition. That being said, it'll probably pull down another couple of kilos quite easily. To be honest, it's been a breeze because my hunger or appetite is still not there. Like, I'm on 3,200 calories, 7,000 steps, although I'm hitting a little bit above the steps just like because I've been moving more. But I'm still not near hungry. Like, I could easily go a full day without eating, which is mad, but that's what gaining phases do to you. So once the hunger starts coming back, I'm going to be really happy, because it would be nice to actually enjoy a meal, which at the moment I'm not. If you can see the fact I'm a little bit out of breath, I'm away to smash the hack squat. I'm just videoing in between. Next week I'm going to go through a little bit of the rehab work I've been doing, because we're finally back in a good position training wise. But anyway, you know where I am. If you need me, drop me a message, like, subscribe, the usual shit, and I will speak to you next week.